everyone. I am again joined with Roberto Blake, and we're talking about how to grow on YouTube using AI. So, Roberto, I know obviously we're on the Opus Clip channel. They have Agent Opus, they have Opus Clip, both tools using AI. I know that you have been dabbling with AI. I know YouTube themselves has been putting out AI features. What is your stance on AI? Would love to just start out of the gate there.
It's funny. My AI that I use for my morning pages is Claude AI, and we were talking about my brand positioning and narrative control. I use Claude kind of as my writer's room. It doesn't write for me. It actually just debates with me. That's literally what I use AI for. I use it as a Legion of Doom to debate. And so I was debating with Claude, and we were talking about the fact that narratively, I need to publicly take a stance on AI. And I'm like, don't I do that on X already all the time? And my stance on AI is, look, it's like every other tool. I was there at the beginning when people said Photoshop wasn't real art, and Photoshop artists were being demonized. We were being blamed for eating disorders and photoshopping people thinner. We were getting blamed with everything for Photoshop. This was 20 years ago, actually as early as 15 years ago even. We were still getting blamed for Photoshop, and everyone was, oh, that's Photoshopped, I can tell. Oh, that's Photoshopped, I can tell. So this whole AI thing is the same thing. Also, AI is just a rebranding of automation and machine learning. Someone was screaming at YouTube and haranguing YouTube. Ironically, they didn't realize that, oh, those channels YouTube was deleting, AI slop channels. Y'all, they psyoped y'all, they psyoped Moist Critical, they psyoped everybody into defending and speaking up for AI channels, not channels that were being wrongfully deleted, but AI slop channels. And even some of the channels where, well, my channel got hit is like, you didn't disclose, homie. We looked and we found out you had 20 YouTube channels, and like 18 of them were faceless, and that's why your other channel got hit, and now you're playing innocent. You threw rocks and hide your hands. So like they ended up haranguing YouTube. They said YouTube needs to go back to human-only decision-making around deleting channels. YouTube has never been human-only decision-making around deleting channels, the algorithm, any of it. YouTube has been using machine learning since 2010. YouTube was built in 2005. It was using automation and cron jobs. Wait, why would you know that, Roberto? Because I was a bloody developer back then. I was a bloody developer back then. I worked at a web hosting company in 2008, 2009. I ended up building a web player because YouTube was blowing up. We had to build a web player as a hosting company for our own customers. So I understand this. So I was a web developer back then. I was working with a lot of people in R&D. Most people just don't have a knowledge of this stuff. There was automation and cron jobs behind YouTube back then. Machine learning really took over when it stopped being a Flash website and when they also got rid of the 15-minute file size limits. And it became this thing. So it's been like using it since 2010, so for at least 15 years. Adobe has been using machine learning. They just didn't call it AI. It's a rebrand, y'all. It was called machine learning. Adobe Sensei was the machine learning that they unleashed in Adobe since like the 2010s. So you've had it for over a decade. You just didn't know. CapCut has basically been an AI video editor this entire time, and y'all love CapCut. So I don't really want to hear it from people. This is just another technology. Andrew, remember when we were like super camera nerds? I mean, I guess we still are. And like it was DSLR versus mirrorless. And the photographers were clinging to DSLR, and mirrorless was a thing, and everyone was haranguing Sony, calling Sony a joke. And now Sony's the market leader, leaving Canon and Nikon behind. Pentax and Olympus really got left behind and everything like that. Fuji, of all people, Fujifilm embraced digital harder than Nikon and Canon, of all people. Kodak got smoked.
And then, you were always a Nikon guy, and then Nikon bought Red, and now people are talking about Nikon color science when back in the day it was all Canon, right? So
Yep.
things can evolve and change. Just like I feel like as we keep learning more about AI, people's stances evolve and change, right? Like, I'm glad you brought up cameras, because that's one of those things where people have changed on. And a lot of people don't know this, but they're starting to put different kind of uses of AI. They've always had some AI in cameras. So it really goes, I've seen people who are
The
like,
photos they're using for Samsung and Apple phones, they'll realize that that's not the photo you took. AI made it not look like garbage.
Yeah. Or, sometimes people are like, how do I get it to look like the preview photo? And you have to turn off those settings that get the OG one, right? And like the thing I love is there's always going to be depth to anything, right? And I think when it comes to growing on YouTube using AI, a lot of people sit at the surface of it, you know? So a lot of people, you know, they're trying to use AI more, especially when it comes to YouTube. What's your advice if someone's trying to grow on YouTube using AI?
Okay, so human plus AI. Don't use
Yes.
AI to generate everything. Primary example, I always talk about one of the tools I use. I work with the team here at Opus on some stuff. I'm an Opus partner. I'm also a partner with One of 10, and I'm an affiliate there. If you use code Roberto, you get 20% off. What do I use that for? I use it a lot of times for thumbnails, even though I'm a Photoshop artist. I'm a classically trained Photoshop artist. Why do I use One of 10 for some AI thumbnails? Because when I need to whip up a thumbnail when I want to go live really quickly, it's very simple to take a photo that I already have that was professionally done of me with my lighting in my studio and take that into One of 10 as an AI thumbnail generator and get multiple variations of something really good or decent and modify it and get it in under 5 minutes instead of me trying to get that same result in 45 minutes. That's the reason, because I have so many pre-built assets that I've made in terms of good photos, good graphics, that I could just put my ingredients into the pot and get something that's actually good and taste good because my ingredients were good. So my stance on AI is it will only be as good as the ingredients you give it, which means if you put slop in, you get slop out. And usually if you're just typing a prompt like it's into Google and you don't have a background in technical writing, art direction, graphic design, photography, the way y'all write a prompt is not the way I'm going to write a prompt. If I write a prompt, even if I did purely generative AI prompting, Andrew, with like Adobe Firefly, for example, another thing I'm affiliated with. I recently just got the call. It looks like I'm going to be an Adobe Firefly ambassador. So I got that call. So yeah. But Adobe Firefly, the way y'all will prompt it is y'all like, Andrew, give me what a normal person probably prompts into something like Adobe Firefly if they wanted an image.
Well, I will go a little bit more Opus focused because I've seen a little bit more of that than compared to Firefly. But a lot of
Sure.
times when people prompt, clip anything from Opus, I'll see find clips to get more views. And that doesn't give a lot of depth. And Roberto, you chuckle, but like if someone doesn't know how to prompt, that's they usually, it's funny, they look at it like they would Google search almost.
I would go into Opus Clip and I would take a podcast interview and I would tell it, clip the most tense emotional moments, clip anything where we argue and or debate, clip anything where we raise our voice or get emotional. Now that's good, right? That's a really good clipping prompt, right, Andrew?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because like that's the moments, those are the spicy moments that people would want to watch that are enticing. When I just say everything in a podcast episode where we debate, that's like good, right? Like that's like, okay, because what wouldn't that be the thing that if people scroll in their phone and then two people start arguing, you're like, well, what are they arguing about? There's a curiosity loop built in.
Oh, absolutely.
It's
And
intensity.
like there are some people who when they interview, they know like the areas to get people going or fired up and riled up because they're friends, right?
Yeah.
Like that's one of those things where if you can get someone on a certain topic, it's going to be a good conversation. And if you can even, segue it into what they're talking about, that's even better. Like for example, if Roberto and I start talking Star Wars, we could get very tense, we can get very, heated, especially because Roberto is one who says that the sequel trilogy is the best that they've ever done.
No,
right?
I do not believe
See?
that for 1 minute. See,
See?
he knew how to trigger
Exactly.
me.
But I know he doesn't actually believe that, right? But like if I wanted to, that's a great example. But that doesn't mean that's also a great relationship thing. I've had to have this conversation. Someone's like, I love rage baiting my guests. I'm like, but they don't want to come back. I'm like, yeah, because you just rage baited them.
Yeah,
for an
because you just got them
hour.
angry. It was a bad time. It was a bad experience.
But, if Roberto, knowing him, he could find a way to one, fix the sequels, because spoilers, he's already talked about that. Two, you have to know the interest of the audience, right? And the interest of the audience is right now, how can you grow with AI? And another thing we got asked recently, and again, we do read your comments if you leave them on the replay, is how do you build things with AI, whether it's a YouTube channel, whether it is, lots of different things. Roberto, I know you've been experimenting with that, so maybe we can kind of take a look at that.
All right, so I'm getting close to on this one project I did. This is not for public consumption yet, but it does work. but I've been working on this for like, who's one of your favorite YouTubers, Andrew?
One of my favorite YouTubers right now would probably be Hank Green's Ask Hank Anything. I've just been really
Do you
enjoying that
know the
series.
channel name for that? Do you know like
I
the
believe
at
he
handle?
uses Complexly on
I
that.
need like an at handle. Like I need a
I think
YouTube.
it's at Complexly.
Do you have another one you can use that's like that I for sure know is simple to type in?
I'll put it in the chat for you. That way you can
Okay.
just pull it in.
Are we sure that that's the handle for YouTube?
I believe so. Yes, that's it.
Okay. So 300. So I built this tool to be my own internal auditing and grading tool. I don't know if I will end up doing anything public with it besides using it in my like own YouTube channel review stuff, but it breaks down and it gives me all of the lifetime stats here. Like the reason, like it organizes it more cleanly like this, but then you guys can't really see everything as cleanly as it does on my screen. So that's why I was blowing certain things up, because like it, yeah, it looks really clean. I get all the lifetime stats at a glance here. I get everything. I get uploads by format and showing YouTube Shorts versus live streams over a period of time. I get these interactive filter charts. I don't think I have the all-time data, or maybe I do. It looks like I might. And I can also filter by format of videos, shorts, and live streams. Even view stats from Mr. Beast cannot do this right now in terms of sorting across these 3 dimensions. They focus only on video, long form versus short form. I include live streams. That's different. That's not something most do. And they haven't done enough live streams for us to have data there. So like I built this, Andrew, and I got most of this functionality in one day, but I've now spent, oh God, maybe close, coming up on maybe a somewhere near between this and one other tool I'm building, maybe close to 100 hours. I get this video upload calendar. This is just the complete dashboard, Andrew. If I go into actual video analytics at a glance, I got my own proprietary viral outlier score that scores 0 to 100, because it just felt like the 3x, 15x multiplier on views. That sounds nice, but I just wanted a scoring mechanism because everyone understands 0 to 100. And as you can see, average views by format, that's something that you don't get in any other tool. View distribution of like how many videos have a certain range of views. So the clear majority of the views end up being between 10K and 50K. I'm building something else that when you click on these, it will give you even more of a detailed radar on this, a performance radar, but you get this whenever you click on an individual video. So this is the video analytics part. In terms of a channel audit, it gives a overall score based on a proprietary thing that I did. And again, like you can't even use this tool. Like I can use this tool. You can't even use this tool right now. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this, except for I can use this to understand anything I want now. And I just love that I can do that I can analyze everything. I love that maybe I use this in the YouTube channel reviews going forward. I like a regular person came, but I built this tool by myself, Andrew. I built myself the tool that I would want. And I was like, what is it that none of these tools have? What is it that View Stats from Mr. Beast doesn't have? What is it that Social Blade doesn't have? What is it that, like, I couldn't find anything that does the crazy meta analysis that I do when I think about YouTube. So I built my brain and gave it a UI. I built my YouTube brain. I built a UI around my YouTube brain.
And I think that, you know, the idea that you had, you're able to implement on it. And I think that is really what is the difference when it comes to if you're trying to grow with AI, right? You know, a lot of people have ideas or stories similar to Roberto there. It's something he always wanted to do, which is what I think we see very well in Agent Opus Story Mode, which is, I know, something that has recently come out from Opus Clip. If you're unaware and you're watching this, there's still
show that off?
Oh, of course. Roberto's jumping ahead in the planned schedule, but it's okay. It's all right. But, you know, they're working on, and they're giving away up to $10,000, right? So if you're unaware, here's more information. With Story Mode, the only thing you need to create full-length social-ready AI videos is your imagination. Don't believe us? We're giving away $10,000 to prove it. Reply to this post with a video made in story mode. The 10 most liked videos each win 1,000. The dates are here in 2026. If you're watching this in the future, you should follow them and follow and subscribe to this channel because they're constantly doing things that are about, getting more. There's some rules they have here. We'll have this linked in the description if you want to learn more. But that is an example. Roberto had an idea and was able to implement it. Maybe you have a story you're trying to tell and you want to implement it, right? Like that's the thing about working with creative partners, right? And the thing is with this challenge is it's all human stories, fueling it. It is your lived experience, which makes that difference. And if you haven't seen, Agent Opus Story Mode, it's at agentopus.pro. You can either at story mode here, and that'll pull it up. You can just also click story mode over here. You can have your own style. You can see examples from people before. You can learn about the different ways they do it. You can save your own projects. So there's a lot that you can do. And Roberto and I have actually shown some of the stuff that we've done together if you've seen some past streams. But Roberto, I'd love to get your take on, using AI in this way, like using it to tell stories, or even how maybe in your own tool, maybe you find something in a channel that would make sense for shorts or something.
Speed of thought, man. Speed of thought. It's the fact that you can have a thought in your head and then you can turn it into a thing. You could have something that you imagine, whether that's a visual image that then prompts you to start telling a story. If you could just see this thing in your head come to life, and then that gets you excited enough to then start talking about it, and then you get a story out of it. Or the fact of, I did not film this thing when it was happening, but boy, wouldn't this be interesting to share this story. The original Storytime animated YouTuber was Swoozy. So imagine that you grew up and you were watching Swoozy, but you just never had the skill to animate and draw. And Swoozy is not even the best drawer animator. That's where the whole stick figure storytelling really came from, was how can I make this as quickly as possible, as cheaply as possible, and tell the story? So maybe you're not as good of an animator or artist as him, or Jaden Animations, or Odd Ones Out, or Young Don. Why wouldn't you be able? And I've worked with Young Don. He got to over 1 million on his spicy animated stories about his high school and college years. And so the thing that you would do is, typically you would have had to spend a decade or more developing this skill, this talent. You might have had to have money. You might have had to have the money to buy a drawing tablet. You might have had to be able to buy software, whether it was like Adobe Animate or Toon Boom or something else. Now you don't have a resource barrier, you don't have a time barrier, and you don't have a technical barrier. Some people would say, oh, so you're saying it takes no skill anymore. There's a different skill set. It means, are you skilled at communicating what you want, and then the machine being able to interpret that and then be able to bridge the gap between your thought and then creating a thing. You cannot just push a button with this. You cannot just write garbage and get gold. It is garbage in, garbage out, but it's also greatness in, greatness out. If you are a good communicator, you will get a good result. It's the same thing with me building these tools. You cannot build the tool that I built without a knowledge of web design, graphic design, UI UX design, analytics panels, deep YouTube knowledge, deep analytics knowledge, that's specific, algorithmic knowledge, knowledge of APIs, authentication keys, the fact that I would know that, oh, I need OAuth to do certain things, and that if somebody other than me uses this, they'll have to use OAuth. Oh, the fact that I needed to tie it to public Google Cloud API key, those type of things to be able to pull my results. Oh, describing or even drawing out the panels that I would want. So again, you can't just push a button and get something beautiful or functional or worthwhile, Andrew. There is some prerequisite knowledge that you will have. What we're eliminating is syntax and physical technical ability. Imagine, God forbid, you were a great artist, but you just get old. Your eyes are going, your hands are going, you can't hold the pen stand anymore. That sucks. So why is it that you should then be beholden in your craft to your physical limitations, even off the fact of rip? Even if you spent decades developing a skill, Andrew, that doesn't mean, God forbid, that that skill is permanent forever, because you're still just trapped by your biology.
True. And I think that's something that even if you have the idea, and I've had this conversation with a few of my friends who are artists because some of them don't know how to feel, they're starting to get people who have mocked something up roughly with AI and asking them to like take their own creative spin and like making it better. And they're like, well, I didn't come up with the mock up. And it's like, well, it's like when you do a collaboration or a commission, ideally it is a collaborative process, right?
Yeah.
And as someone who, collaborates with a lot of artists, when I only get like 3 revisions, having something that helps me get to a place where it's not like the first 2 are just praying they kind of nail it.
You'll
And
know it
just,
when you see it.
yeah. And then like what I found is usually within, revision 2 or 3, where it used to be 3 of 3 and we pray, it's good. And I found that I'm always upfront, like, hey, can I use AI to show you some mock-ups I've done? Because you're the artist. I'm just quickly trying to get this done and I need, you to do it. And I think that's something that can happen. You can grow using AI with a real human too.
The best people will only prosper by enhancing the skills they already have. A great illustrator now can be a great animator. A great writer can now have something that visually backs their writing, with even if they're too poor to be able to get somebody that can draw as well as they can write. Somebody who is a great writer, but not someone who's a great lyricist in writing, but is not a performer, or even someone who has a voice. People even get on this with AI avatars. You can just combine this and you can perform and do your own performance, but you could have the visual aesthetic of the AI. Imagine they have a thing called Vocaloids and K-pop and J-pop idols as Vocaloids. These are animated characters, but there's a human performer behind the voice and everything. Imagine what you could do on YouTube. This is similar to the VTuber community, but now you could use AI to take this further. Imagine that you could just make an AI avatar and you know that, okay, I just don't have the face, or you don't have the confidence in your appearance to say, I don't have the face for YouTube, or I don't think I do, but I'm a great singer or I'm a great rapper. What if I just go ahead and I skin myself with an animated AI character, but I do the actual voice performance, and I can do that in live streams, and I could even put together a virtual live stream concert and all of my fans can come and they can see this animated stage that I perform on, but it's my voice and it's my vocals and there's no voice changer, but I now have this animated character that is the embodiment of what I wish I was, and it's something that people will accept, and now it's the way my music will be heard. That would be amazing. Because, by the way, there's a possibility that maybe people just wouldn't give you a chance. They have a bias. But if you have this other way to reach them, now that goes away. Or the fact that with real-time AI translation now, Andrew, we're all going to get the best creativity from around the world that we had a language barrier to caring about investing in.
No, you're right, especially when it comes to those translations. What I've found is that most people are in the in between of the next level of their career and where they want to go. And I was actually at an event recently called Kid Screen where I was talking to a lot of creatives who are starting to have budget. And what they would use is some form of AI to be more accessible globally. But now that they have the budget, they're putting it back in. Like they're putting it back in for proper dubbing, right? But it's a lot of times we have gaps in the in between. And it's like having a solution for those in-betweens doesn't replace a human, and it's really up to the brands and businesses you work with, and hold them accountable. If you want to see that, like, let them know. And if they're upfront and saying, I can't afford that right now, but it's in the roadmap, that's also an acceptable answer.
I think that the hand wringing over make something inefficiently so that I can say it was done to my ethical standard, or don't make it at all, just makes us all actually poorer, because you're hand wringing over the fact that somebody said, if I have 5 passionate people and we use these tools, we can make the greatest thing that all of you will want, but you're going to hang wring over how much of it was the clanker versus the human, because we decided that 5 humans that are passionate are better than dealing with 50 or 500 humans and having the same bloat as legacy media who's been churning out slop for decades without needing AI to be involved. Like, think about it. We get so much bad content from corporations that have 500, 5,000 people bloat overhead that they don't need, that they have to have or think they have to have, or maybe at the time they really did. And it doesn't make a better product. And you're going to complain about the fact that we can downsize headcounts. Sure, there's going to be some collateral damage. There's going to be some heartbreak in there. But Andrew, when in human history has it been a bad thing that something takes 5 human beings working hard instead of 50 or 500 human beings slaving away on the same effort? When has that ever actually been a bad thing?
I've spent too much time in corporate to know how it can be a bad thing, so I think I need to tread carefully here. But what I can say is that I think when you are using, there is a great time for automation. There's a great time. What I think it eliminates, to something you talked about before, is like some of the skills we've developed are out of necessity and are not the actual skillful thing.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to someone earlier who was afraid to use AI to help like Opus Clip because it could remove the ums and silences. I'm like, they're like, is that selling out? I'm like, I don't think anyone who's an editor considers removing ums, silences as like groundbreaking, thoughtful, creative work.
No,
and so
not at all.
Right. But it's still that hesitancy, right? And that's an example of that's a job that used to exist, that someone's whole skill was just to do that. And so
Exactly.
that's not an unnecessary job, but it's a job that has now evolved to where there are much more creative edits that person can do.
Are you going to complain if we get to pushing a button and then all of a sudden all audio quality on YouTube becomes perfect? Are you going to care how we got there?
Personally, no, because audio's half the battle.
I don't think any consumer, let alone any editor, let alone any creator, is going to cry that we get to AI where we push a button. Thank you, Adobe, and or even Opus. Opus has that toggle and it enhances the AI. It cleans it right away. Like between Opus, Adobe, and these other DaVinci, if we literally get to push a button, I have perfect audio out of my $50 microphone or out of the microphone on my phone. Do you really think the viewership is going to complain, Andrew?
Probably not. And that doesn't mean the art of it gets lost either, because I know, Roberto, you and I care about these things. When I hear like really fine-tuned, perfect audio that I can tell someone spent time on, I'm one of those people. I'm like, ooh, that's nice. And the audience notices it too, because one thing about AI you should know is it averages out. It's a mean, right? And so that doesn't mean your skill goes away, but some of those more menial tasks might.
Like even with me with working on stuff, Andrew, like my skill set doesn't go away just because I have the tool. If anything, I'm arguing that it enhances it because my knowledge is probably more valuable than my hands, if I'm being honest. And again, my knowledge is permanent. Like I'm 42. I do not have the stamina and body I had at 22. Like I just don't. I recognize these things. My eyes are not what they used to be. So if something improves or eliminates the limitations and increases more accessibility for me, and I'm a healthy person, Andrew, just imagine somebody who has a disability. This is only, in my mind, I'm not saying there are no negatives. I'm going, what's the net result? The net result for the market, for the creators that have the least. Like, think about it like this. The people who have the least, this immediately eliminates the fact that they don't have resources, they don't have time, and that they might be in poverty. So the creator that has the least benefits the most from AI. The people who are already successful, they have the greatest threat of being displaced, but they also could just utilize it and then build a bigger moat if they really wanted to. Their biggest threat is stagnation and not doing anything. And their actual threat is from people in the middle who now, okay, I had time and I got somewhere and I got to full time, but I never had budget or I couldn't expand my my team. Oh, now I can operate with a small team like you big dogs out there that have like 30, 50 people staff. Me and my scrappy skeleton crew, we're all full time. If we use these tools, we become an army overnight. So that becomes the difference of the threat. That's why you have, I genuinely believe there's a lot of big creators who they actually aren't taking a principled position on AI. I think what they're doing is they're protecting their institutional authority of being established and having already made it, because they know that someone that's a mid-tier creator who uses these tools to maximum effect might come for them. So they don't want that, because it will mean that they can produce an outcome that's equal, because that big creator doesn't have the ability. If they have a 50-person, 30-person team, they have a big team, they have 100 people on staff, it's not going to be a good public look for them to fire 50% of their team, 80% of their team, even if they could, and even if it made sense. Their biggest threat is a small team of rogue creators coming together, a small crew behind a brand, a creator brand, coming and saying, we've got 6 scrappy people. You're finished, old man. Like, and we're going to do the work of your 10 or 50 people with lower budget. We're going to have less of a committee debating it, and we have less liability, and we are small, so we're still rogue. And therefore, okay, you're acting more like corporate, we're acting more like a startup. Startup eats the institutional long-term play. The startup eats the conglomerate. That's YouTube did that. YouTube destroyed legacy media.
The disruptors.
So that's the thing. The people at the top will always fear the new technology because it means that somebody scrappy can disrupt them and eat their lunch. And the people at the bottom really have the best opportunity because they have no downside. If you're at the bottom, there's no downside. You're already the underdog. What's the downside? How much worse can it be for you? If you embrace the new bleeding edge technology, you can only do better than you're doing now.
We have some comments here. A small dedicated team can always move faster and turn inside of a large organizations that have approval chains and multi-tiered workflows. Very much so. Home Rapid Rivera Larry says sometimes Home Depot and Lowe's corporate videos are soulless. So many authentic builder channels that perform better. Right. And like sometimes there is a time and place for, that committee. And a lot of times I do think within restriction there can be creativity, right?
Yep.
And what do I mean by that? Shorts are less than 3 minutes. I think creators who can get it done in that less than 3 minute, that's a creative skill.
That's the other disruption where people decide shorts views are less valuable, and that's only on RPMs. Okay, if I snap a finger and shorts RPMs are just as good as long form RPMs, all these big creators, except for the ones that really it's their artistic identity, they'd all go to short form tomorrow if the RPMs were exactly the same, given that the views are disproportionately higher, 10x or 100x the views, and the RPMs were the same. They'd all flip on a dime. They do not have a principled position on it. It's an economic position. It's them defending their territory, defending their moat. And all these big creators that are anti-shorts, every single one of them knows who Jordan Howlett is. Everyone knows Jordan Howlett, aka Jordan the Stallion. They've all watched his videos. They all sit there. And when I'm at VidCon or I'm at somewhere, or Vid Summit and everything like that, all these big creators who dog on short form and crap over short form creators, they all know who he is and they all watch him and they all love him. And he's primarily a short form creator. So like, don't get it twisted. Don't misunderstand this. Most people don't have any principled positions on this stuff. If I change one thing, and it has nothing to do with the ethics, but it has to do with what their upside is, what they benefit from. If it benefits them, they'll change on a heartbeat. If I told these big creators that they could lose 50% of their overhead and no one will be mad at them, if I literally said there will not be a single person mad at you on the internet and no one will cancel you, all of them would cut staff, be more efficient, triple their views, and make a move. They literally don't make a move because they're afraid of the backlash for their audience, not because it's a principled decision, not because it's not the smart thing economically, not because it even makes a better product, or not for artistic integrity and craft. There's a handful of people that are true believers, but understand, if I change one thing, and by the way, they're not wrong for changing their mind. Andrew, YouTube had to change 8 things before I came on board with shorts.
Yep. I remember that.
They had to change the reality of shorts for creators. They had to do the work to win me over.
Yeah, and look, YouTube Shorts are now on year 6, right? They came out in 2020, but it was a beta in India. So when I say that, people are like, no, it didn't. I'm like, just because you didn't have access to it didn't mean it came out, because it did.
And I think that properly monetized for 2.5 years.
Exactly. And it's still evolving, right? Like a lot of times when I have a conversation with someone who's like, oh, I don't like short form, I'm like, why? And they're like, well, I couldn't get TikTok to work for me, or Instagram Reels didn't work for me. You can't look at other platforms and then bring it to how you succeed on one. Like if I tell Roberto, hey, Roberto, I do well on YouTube, but I'm getting no views on TikTok, they're not 1-to-1. That's not a fair comparison. And vice versa.
Until recently, they didn't even count views the same.
Now, I see we have something from Marcus over on LinkedIn, and he says, a few weeks ago, you told the stream 3 shorts, 45 minutes apart as a posting schedule. I did it the other day, and yes, it is fire. Can you elaborate on why that works? Is it just the timing with the algo? What's your thoughts?
Okay, so my thought on this is several things. There is surprisingly, despite everyone thinking everything is saturated, long form has been around so long that there's a 5 to 1, if not 10 to 1 ratio of long form content to short form content right now, because long form content has been, at least when it comes to YouTube, institutionally invested for 20, 21 years, depending on what you want to call long form, because technically in the first 5 years or so of YouTube, you literally had file and time upload limits. So everything was short form on YouTube the first couple of years, believe it or not, because of file size limits and actual time limits. And also the fact we were all poor and the technology was not great back then.
144p gang.
Yep, 144p gang. Like, but the standard definition SD gang, like, but 480p gang.
Film to praying the USB connection doesn't break on you when you're trying to convert it from film to digital.
WMV file gang.
Oh God, throwing back, man. What you were saying, sorry.
Yeah. So the reason this works is it's not just an algorithmic thing. It's that there's a demand curve, and the supply is still short, believe it or not. And the supply for specific niches is actually very thin, while the demand still might be growing. So that makes a big difference. The other thing is it's the recommendation engine. See, YouTube is a quantity game, even though we all love quality. I understand the impetus. I understand the artfulness. I understand being proud of what you make. But think about it like this. There's a certain point of frustration where if you get people to like something and they become addicted to it and then they have to wait, they don't sit there and they're not happy to wait. They're angry. Like, think about it. Think about how angry a lot of people are, Andrew, that they have to wait 2 years for the next season of their favorite show. Like, they're violently angry. And it also sometimes hurts a show because if they don't over deliver despite hard work on the next season, with 2 years of hiatus, they could be disrupted. A new fandom can arise. People can forget about it. It really does happen that way. People are just consumers. We just are. That's how it is. So you could think about, oh, I'm going to pull a quality over quantity and they'll wait. That ignores so much of human behavior, and it ignores the reality of now they have too many options to wait on you. So when you make something good, people want more of it. And with YouTube and social media and a lot of these things, especially YouTube Shorts, the recommendation engine really comes down to every time you make a video, YouTube has to find 20 to 100 recommendation candidates immediately to show them a next video, a next video, a next video. The more you have aligned content to the interest of your viewer, the more of those candidates are yours. So if you saturate the market with enough good options that people genuinely want, you cannot help but win. And that's why a lot of these shorts channels grew and blew up during the pandemic.
Very true. And you talk about like rushing or waiting too long. Like in the zeitgeist, Stranger Things, the latest season, people thought they waited too long and they also thought it was rushed, right? Mm-hmm. You can have both extremes on that edge. You can also have other things when you are working. We have a question from Miami Cloud, if I can, who is asking, is there an ability to add a picture or graphic you like to do in text? I'm still learning the tool. Absolutely. You can, on the assets page within Opus Clip, you can upload a video, you can upload a photo, and then you can bring it into the editor through that. We have tutorials all on the channel about that. So just wanted to quickly answer and say, yes, you can do it. And that's a quick way you can kind of find what you need to there. I also know that when we are talking about how can you grow on YouTube using AI, one thing people ask is it okay to use AI on YouTube? And I always answer with yes. The inspiration tab is heavily using AI from Google, and Google owns Gemini, so a lot of it's powered by Google Gemini.
The entire platform, like actually Renee Ritchie from YouTube actually did a podcast episode about this with the vidIQ people, and he was talking about this, and he made it clear that from a policy standpoint, YouTube doesn't have an anti-AI policy. They have an anti-slop policy, essentially. And he explained what that really looks like and what that means. I'm going to do my own podcast episode and take on this topic pretty soon as well. So make sure you guys are looking out for that. More.
And if you'd like us to talk about it here, maybe it could be a companion piece to Roberto's solo.
Absolutely. We can talk about it here anytime you want, Andrew. Like if we want to do that, we definitely can. But like the policy stuff with YouTube owns Gemini, DeepMind, Nano Banana, Veo 3, all these crazy things, and then YouTube itself, and it's integrated now. So they're not anti-AI. And there's a vocal minority of creators and artists that are anti-AI, but the consumer base, which is 70% of YouTube's consumer base, is international. The international community does not feel about AI the way the West does at
True.
all. It's a massive difference. And the thing is, even with that, the appetites for it are changing because it's that people don't necessarily like what they think is the AI look. That is a transient problem, Andrew. That is a transient problem. And they also, it's something works or it doesn't. People used to complain about the whole Mr. Beast thing of the open mouths, the YouTube face. And yet it worked. People complain about it, but they still click on it. They still click on it. Billion views. So like, what are we doing? So like, is something okay? It's a matter of this hang ringing of when you're asking if something is okay, what you're really asking is, are people on the internet going to yell at me? And that's not a reason to do something or not to do something.
No, I agree with that. And I think that another thing to that point is the people getting asked to subscribe notification fatigue. I've done testing across multiple channels. I know you have. We wouldn't do it if it didn't work.
3x and to 5x growth difference if you ask for the subscribe.
Yeah, and it is that situation of the more that we have conversations, and like the YouTube face is a byproduct of what gets us excited as humans, right? It's human psychology, which is what a lot of these algorithms, if you replace algorithm with audience, you're really just understanding your audience. Now, I've been very upfront that a lot of people confuse the audience and community. Community is people who have already bought into what you're doing. Audience is people who don't know you yet. And I will stand on that and die on that hill because people confuse it.
I'm making a graphic that actually kind of like explains that, to be honest with you, is like, you know, there's your audience, there's your community, and then there's your circle. And these are different things and they expand outward.
Very true.
Like circle is right here, community is here, and then audience is this, and they are not the same. They have very different contextual interpretations.
No, and like that's something I tell people, because some people you could get too in with your audience. Like if you're too in with your community, more specifically, you can get bad advice. Sometimes your community is so vocal that what the audience in general wants doesn't actually match what your community wants. Your community is more niche. It's further down in your funnel. And what I mean by that is I've seen creators who are like, well, I was doing like this specific model of car repair because my audience really wanted it. I'm like, no, that was like 3 people in your audience who happen to have that car. Majority of your audience is looking up something else.
I realized there's another circle and I'm just trying to figure out where to place it. But there's that parasocial part of, there's that parasocial group. And I'm trying to figure out if they sit in a layer that's between being a general audience member or community member, or is it that they are like closer, but they're not really your inner circle. I'm trying to, and then there's also the true fans thesis. Like, so I'm trying to figure out exactly actually where these circles fit, because the parasocial feels like it can go across circles, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely does. I mean, I've every single creator I've talked to that has a certain following has always had an interesting, what they would consider inappropriate interaction with a fan, not in like a bad way, but like maybe a boundary, like, hey, can I add you on Facebook? Hey, I don't know you personally. Like that's something that I've
stories
seen
about this.
Yeah, well, like I've experienced it too. People are like, why are you not on Facebook? I'm not a big Facebook guy. And people are like, I sent you a Facebook request years ago. You never accepted. And I'm like, I haven't checked my Facebook in 3 years. If that's true, I'm sorry, I'm not there. Right. But that's also for me, I'm very open about that in live streams and things. Right. So if you really knew me, you would know that's my kind of stance. But then they'll be like, but I see you on Threads. And I'm like, yeah, because I like Threads are different. And that's how I just look at it. Right. But I think that there is a huge difference in how to look at things, because when we talk about community, that's that next step. It's the wanting of humanity, right? And if you do AI well, you can actually use your, that as a broader appeal, right? You can use Opus Clip for more discovery of who you are so that they can get further into your community. Shorts, as you know, Roberto, and I'm sure if you're watching, I see we have a good amount of people joining, it's a great opportunity for you to get that community, to take them from one step to the other. So, I see you have a question about Discord here. Do you have a Discord channel? How do I get into it? Opus does have a Discord channel. If you check the links in the description, it is linked there. All you have to do is have a Discord account, join, and check it out. They talk a lot about stuff. I know, Roberto, you have one. I have one. So Discord's a great way to get community. YouTube is focusing on it with their own communities on platform. There are forums, there are Reddits. There are lots of ways you could join a community. Roberto, we have a question from Miami Cloud. Opus is awesome as is, but is there anything exciting on your roadmap or anything that you understand? Well, is there anything, Roberto, that gets you excited that you've seen from Opus outside of course, story mode, as we talked about earlier?
I was going to say story mode. I was literally going to say story mode.
Well, no, talk about it, because we just had a huge influx, so some people may not know what it is.
So the thing with story mode that I think about is how many people have throwaway ideas that didn't make it to the final script of a YouTube video that would actually itself make for a good YouTube video, but they don't want to commit the resources to generating that video. I think story mode is perfect for that.
Yeah. And I think, if you're looking for more resources, more places to go, more ways to learn YouTube and things around, I think, this is a great time for me to say, Roberto, where can people find you? Where can they learn more? See what I did there, folks?
Yeah, boom. If you're trying to find me, connect with me, I'm at Roberto Blake on all social medias. You can find me on YouTube, over almost 2,000 videos now over on YouTube. And of course, if you want to work with me, you can find me at awesomecreatoracademy.com. Also, Andrew, we do have something recently that I did put out that people can consume. I put together, with help from curating and sourcing and generating the graphics in AI, the 2026 Creator Economy report. And you can find that here at this link, which is 2026.creatoreconomyreports.com. And you can go ahead and find the State of the Creator Economy report. This cites over 200 data points, 53 sections, and cites from over 70 authoritative articles and websites, and so it's pretty robust. And it's all cited. Everything is attributed, and it's from credible sources. So everything there is legit, and it's one of those you don't have to take my word for it. Literally go look it up from people like IAB, which is the Internet Advertising Bureau, emarketer.com, and all of these other places, Goldman Sachs, on the creator economy's global market size. Like, we've got everything, US versus global trends, short form versus long form. Like, it's pretty robust. Like, it's pretty wild. Oh, digital ad spend versus legacy media is one of my favorites.
And you can also find Roberto here on the Opus Clip YouTube channel every Saturday, where we're going to be, I think our next one we have to talk about is absolutely, you hinted at doing a solo video, but like slop and the conversation around it. So yeah, if you didn't want to hear more about that, come join us. If you want to create your own stories, use Agent Opus. And as always, consider subscribing to the Opus Clip YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone.